why is real estate key to having wealth?
He put it very simple. I remember he's explaining this when he was still, like doing the land developing back in Vietnam. He said that population is always growing, but this is him explaining to, I think I was 12 back then,
Yep.
12, 13.
That's good.
Yeah, so he's trying to like dumb it down so
Yep.
I can understand, right? We only have one Earth, so Ho Chi Minh City is where we live, right? It's not going to expanding. The land is just going to be there. So,
Yep.
but we just have more people.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone we're trying to fight for a place to live. So which means that he trying to teach me about appreciation assets, and then that's how when I realized that so people, the number one thing that they need to do is housing, place to live. So yeah, I think that's kind of put very ingrained in my mind that that's really important.
Hey everyone, thanks so much for tuning in to the Realized Gains podcast. I'm your co-host, Jordan Lee, and I invest in single-family homes, and I'm a mortgage lender that's licensed in about 9 states. On today's show, we are interviewing an insurance agent and investor named Khoa Tran. It's a super interesting interview. He talks about his immigration story and how he got started in business and entrepreneurship here. And then explains a little bit about how he was able to invest in real estate by purchasing primaries as well as for purchasing them as investment properties. So if you're looking to get started as an investor in your side hustle, this is a good one for you. Hey everyone, thanks so much for tuning in to the Realized Gains podcast. My name is Jordan Lee. I'm your co-host, and I'm here with Alex Fan, who's going to be... Alex, you want to introduce yourself real quick?
Hey everyone, great to see you again. My name's Alex Fan. I'm subbing for Stephen Tran today. He's out representing us in Washington, D.C. And I'm a real estate agent with Keller Williams. Small, middle-size investor, Anyways. And we're here with Khoa Tran.
Yeah. Hey, Khoa, you want to just take a moment to give us a quick introduction of yourself, kind of your background and your story and how you got to where you are?
Okay. So hi everyone, this is Khoa Tran with Country Financial. I'm the insurance agent with Countries for about 6 years, starting in 2017. And since then,
what were you doing? So was this your first career? Or?
Oh, yeah. So I moved here from Vietnam to the U.S. in 2014. And before that, I was a direct sales to do telecommunication for CenturyLink. So I did that for 2 years.
Okay. So when you moved here, you started working for CenturyLink.
Yeah. So when I moved here,
could you speak English at the time?
I have a very thick accent. So yeah. So I do have a Australian university degree from RMIT. So I do know how to read, write, and speak, but it is a very thick accent.
Oh, you went to school in Australia, or you
no?
Just did
so
remote?
they have RMIT, which is stand for Royal Melbourne Institute of Technology. They have I think they are the first one that have their campus outside of Melbourne. It's in South Saigon, and it's 100% foreign direct investment.
Okay.
So yeah, so I was one of the first generations that actually going through that school. Yeah.
Oh, newer school.
Yeah, newer school. Yeah,
okay.
For sure.
Interesting. And so you came over. What brought you over?
So I got a family sponsor from my grandmother, and she sponsored all of us over. It took her about 15 years, and she was already in the U.S. before that. So she's just waiting to get her U.S. passport, become a U.S. citizen, and then she can sponsor. So yeah. So I didn't expect that I will be living in the U.S.
So it wasn't your long-term plan to do that. It
No.
just kind of came up.
Yeah, so I still remember in 2014, I'm in my second degree. I studied law to become a international trade lawyer. And then I got a letter from U.S. consulate saying like, hey, your interview is up. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah. The golden ticket call, huh?
I mean, it's not an easy way at the beginning because I'm over 21 at that point, and they just left me out from the interview, and I was like, oh, so my parents and my brother can go, but I can't.
Oh, wow.
So I have to do an appeal and say like, hey, when you approve us, like I'm below 21 and I'm single, I don't have kid, so kind of like I'm going in the back door to do an interview with them.
Wow.
Yeah.
What were your feelings at that point? Was it like excitement or was it,
It's mixed feelings for sure. I've seen my grandma quite a lot. She come back to Vietnam and maybe once a year or maybe twice a year to just stay away from the cold here. So I have a connection with her, but I'm never thinking that I will live in the U.S. one day. So it's mixed feeling for sure. Yeah, but I was so excited. Yeah.
Well, and plus, I mean, you had been studying English, but you hadn't been studying it with the intent on using it as your main language, right?
Yes, exactly. So funny things is when I got the letter, I worked for a Japanese company, so I was going back and forth between that and Japan a lot, and I'm actually learning Japanese on the side as well, but now it's been faded. Yeah. So moved here, and I think the first skill that I want to learn is sales. I'm a very introvert person.
Huh.
So
Wow.
I'm not like this at all.
And what made you choose sales? Like, why did you pick that of all things?
So I think so my major in university is entrepreneurship.
Okay.
And I feel like the number one skill for any entrepreneurs is you need to know how to sell, so you can attract business, sell your business and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just not the typical first generation immigrant. You don't think of Asian immigrant. You don't think of being like, oh, I'm just gonna go into sales. It's like
Exactly.
attorney, whatever, physician,
I
engineer.
used to really into computer science.
Yeah.
I'm into like coding and stuff like that. So kind of like a little background, just like Steven. But my dad, I think he's the one that kind of make me realize. He said, the only way that you can be wealthy if you have to work with people, and sales is the number one skill.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what did your dad do?
So my dad, he's worked for an import-export company.
Okay.
He worked his way up. Like I think he's starting as a driver, in that company, and then he's taken his degree in foreign trade. So foreign trade university is one of the prestigious university in Vietnam back then. So he got that degree. He's working his way up. I think his last position before he resigned was a director of a wood making company that they make like wood furniture and export it to the U.S. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
but he's in real estate before as well. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He was involved in real estate?
Yeah. So import and export company. That company was kind of like doing big construction, doing like condos, high-rise condos. It's very common in Vietnam, and so they just buy lands and then trying to develop that and sell it to the public. Yeah. So he was in that a little bit, and then
Wow. And so tell me, how long was the process from when you got the call, the interview, and then how much longer till you were in the United States?
So I got a letter in January 2014, and I got here October. I think the interview was in May or June. I don't remember exactly, but I'm here in October.
And in that interview, what did you have to do to like pass or whatever?
It's quite funny. We prepare a lot of paperwork showing the relationship between my dad and my
okay, so you had to
grandmom.
prove your familial relationship.
Yeah, and then showing letters going all the way back and why that we want to move and stuff like that. And I still remember we was waiting for so long, and when we actually go into the window that the U.S. Officer who was trying to interview us. I think he asked like maybe 3 questions.
Oh.
Yeah.
So you were way over prepared.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm still, if I think about that time, I'm still shocked because like we're so prepared, and we even saying that like, hey, we don't need translator. I can translate for my dad and stuff like that, right? But on the other window, there was a U.S. officers, and then I think another Vietnamese officers that they translate.
That helps to translate.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Do you remember the 3 questions?
I do remember one question though. He asked me, "What do you want to do when you move there?" And I said that like, I have my university degree already, so maybe an MBA. But yeah, I didn't follow that. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting. They want to know what your path might look like, huh? Getting here.
I know. I think if we live in a parallel universe and I still live in Vietnam, I may be ending up a international trade lawyer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
So follow my mom's footsteps.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, you get moved here, 2 years working at CenturyLink.
Yes.
And then at what point did you decide to transition into insurance?
Okay. So I think this is kind of like a working with CenturyLink is, to me, consider is the hardest job I ever had.
Were you basically cold calling people,
No,
or were
I was
you
go out and
servicing,
door
or you were
knocking.
door knocking? Okay.
Yeah. Straight 100% commission.
Oh, 100%
Yeah.
commission too.
Yes.
Oof.
And
How many doors did you knock a day?
so we all have a list of doors that we
Uh-huh.
can knock to. I think every day it's about 50 doors.
50 doors. And what would be your rough conversion rate?
So as you know, it's just tracing back to sales. It's all about numbers. The
Right.
more people you talk to,
Yeah.
the more sales you get. So our rate is about 10 to 15% conversion.
Okay.
10 to 12.
Okay, so of the
So
50,
every
you
100 people
convert
that we
like
talk
5
to.
or 6
Yeah.
customers. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're trying to talk to at least maybe 20 people.
Mm-hmm.
And then out of 20, we're trying to get at least 10 presentation in.
Mm-hmm.
And then hoping we can get 2 to 5 sales at the end of the day.
I see.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's all about numbers. So that's how I learned that. Okay.
And that was enough to get by, though.
Yes, I think so. What CenturyLink is, you have to be good at sales, right? And then you have to good at training, and then you have to recruit people into your sales team. And when your sales team hit a certain production, you will allow to be like your own territory manager.
Oh, interesting.
So open like an office, work there, and bring your team over and just do that by yourself. So that's a path that I think I can be my own boss. So that's why I'm trying to follow it, and then trying to learn the skill set along the way. I feel like those 2 years is really hard. Like I've been out in the blizzard and still knocking on doors. Yeah, on 100 degrees days, still knocking on doors. That teach me like persistence and perseverance for sure. Yeah.
Let me ask, since you were, like you said, it's the toughest job, going door knocking, right?
Yeah.
I'm paralleling that to my career in real estate. So why? And then your dad had it. So why not real estate? Why insurance?
And then, yes. So good question. So when I trying to switch my job, I was thinking, I don't have enough money. So I think that is the biggest thing that kind of like preventing me getting into real estate. That I don't
So
understand.
you knew
that.
you wanted to invest in real estate already,
Yes.
though? Okay.
I know that in order for me to be wealthy, that I need to own real estate. And my dad, because of the language barrier, he could not becoming whatever. He just give us an opportunity to be here. But he keeps saying that like, hey, I know that this is the way that we can develop some wealth and maybe generational wealth. So I'm trying to get into insurance because with my company, we have 2 paths: become an insurance agent, and then after a certain years, you can get a financial license and become a financial advisor. And I want to be good at how to deal with money, because as you guys know, with Asian culture, money is kind of like a taboo subject, right? With a lot of people, they teach you to like, okay, you have to go in school, be a good student, pass the test, straight A's, whatever's, and then trying to go into a company, being a good employee, paying the bills, right? So never actually talking about money, and that's why I want to be, learning about money, and so I can be better at it because I don't know. Yeah.
Can I ask, why do you believe, and your dad believe, why is real estate a key to having wealth?
He put it very simple. I remember he's explaining this when he was still, like doing the land developing back in Vietnam. He said that population is always growing, but this is him explaining to, I think I was 12 back then, 12, 13.
That's good.
Yeah, so he's trying to like dumb it down so I can understand, right? We only have one Earth, so Ho Chi Minh City is where we live, right? It's not going to expanding. The land is just going to be there, so but we just have more people. So everyone we're trying to fight for a place to live. So which means that he trying to teach me about appreciation assets, and then that's when I realized that so people, the number one thing that they need to do is housing, place to live. So I think that's kind of like put very ingrained in my mind that's really important.
But just because you have a house,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, does that make you wealthy?
No, right?
Ah.
So it's
But then the second part, which is generational, right? Being able to pass that down, that asset, to a future family member or a child or someone in your family, and having them benefit from owning the house and appreciation and stuff, right?
Yeah. So back in Vietnam, we didn't own rental properties. So I didn't learn that until I moved here, that, rental properties and just buying property and passing that over to your kids will be a generational wealth. So I learned that here. Yeah.
And getting back into the insurance world, so did you like know somebody in the insurance world? Is that how you got hooked up, or did you just how did you?
I think I kind of like fell into it.
Okay.
Like I said, I want to learn more about the finance, and with my company right now, they offer an option for me to step into that world through insurance, because it's all about developing your pipelines, nurturing your clients, and taking care of their financial needs, and that's including insurance. So I think I kind of like fell into it, and I fell in love with it, because I feel like the more I do my work and learning about more insurance, I feel like the world is basically it's just surviving right now based on insurance, and everything's what we touch and do, it needs to have insurance there. So otherwise people are gonna go wild and just do whatever they want, right? So they can just drive a car without insurance and hit someone. Yeah, so I feel like that's the beauty of insurance. Yeah.
And you started in insurance 6 years ago? Did you say?
Yeah,
7 years?
2017.
2017. Okay.
Was that 6 years?
Yeah, 6 years.
Yeah, kind of one thing that's always attracted me to insurance is that you can kind of build up a residual book. At what point in insurance did you feel like you were at the point where you had a book that was enough to, at least pay the bills?
Yes. So another way that it's attracted me to insurance is the ability to be my own boss. I feel like for me, in order to be wealthy or passing that generation wealth to my kid, is I have to be my own boss, right? So set up my own schedule, do whatever I want. I know that I'm a self-motivator. I just need a guide or a path to go through. And residual income is, as a lot of people from my industry say, it's the eighth wonder of the world, right? So as long as you two maintaining your book, talking to people, making sure that, you satisfying their needs, they're willing to be with you, and you kind of like just getting a result from it. What was your question?
I was curious about, at what point were you like, okay, I'm gonna make
Oh,
it in
oh,
insurance.
oh,
I
okay.
have enough of a residual because
Yeah.
it's still commission based, right?
It is, yes.
You still need to produce a certain amount of sales, but at some point you have a pipeline that's big enough that will kind of just take care of
see,
your bills,
yes,
right?
so-
as long as you, like you said, nurture it and take care of your
Mhm.
clients.
I feel like with Country, it's kind of different from other insurance companies. Is when we started, they start with a base because you don't have any clients in your
Right.
book, right? So you need some time to build that up. And while you're doing that, they give you a salary so you can basically sustain, right? With other company, they just go in, they either throw you a book, which is you don't know how to do your job yet, right?
Right.
Let alone the serving these people. So for me, at that point, I'm considering between the couple of carriers back then. But I consider Country because I feel like I can learn the craft before I can actually taking care of people. So in that path, I think I hit the point where I feel like my pipelines, my book of business is big enough to sustain me is around year 5. So not too far away.
So it took
yeah.
it took a little
great.
bit of time, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I guess for people listening, you sell somebody, or I would say you help somebody obtain an insurance policy. Is there a commission up front with that sale, and then the ongoing residual with the renewal?
Every time they renewed, yeah, we got a certain percentage.
Okay.
Yeah,
Which is typically on an annual basis or
on the annual basis.
semi-annual basis. Okay.
On the home is annual basis, and on the car is semi-annual.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is that kind of your focus? Is just home and auto at this point?
No, I was doing a life insurance and also commercial insurance as well.
Okay.
Yeah, commercial insurance is, I think they are easy to deal with, but you need to get the basics down, which is the auto and the home first.
Okay.
Yeah, commercial is more moving pieces and need to require a lot of people to actually get in, do a quote and stuff like that. So yeah, you need to get the basics down first, and then you can move over to commercial. Yeah.
Let's talk about real estate now. Tell us,
Okay.
what's your area of expertise in real estate investment?
I feel like my portfolio is
Yeah. How did you get started?
okay. How do I get started? I think the first is talking about my first house that I bought here. I think it was 2018.
Okay.
Literally, it's at like 1 year mark, like my first year anniversary with Country.
Okay.
And that's when I was be able to finance and get my own house. So bought that one back in 2018. I think at that time it's still a seller market. So we got lucky. We put in offers in. The house was back on the market. So I think they fell finance for the first buyer for whatever reason. So it's back on the market, and we jump in right away. And she got 3 offers, but she's ending up picking us. We didn't do any personal letters or whatever, but I think she's just seeing that our financial situation it's a little bit strong. At that time, I tried to buy it as my primary, so I put a lot, I think 20% down. So a strong offer, so that's why she took it. And then the second, which is my rental right now, I bought it in 2020. And then every year we bought average around 2 property per year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. So the first home you bought, you still live in it.
No, that one has been rented out.
So you converted that to rental.
Yeah.
So you're in 2018
2018.
or 2020, excuse me, you bought your second home and moved into that home and converted your first to a rental?
No, I think I moved out from my from my first home back in 21.
Okay.
Yeah, so that is three property after, like 2 property after. Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. Great.
Yeah. So, and then I think for me, I just doing the basic way. When I'm not really like going and find off-market deals. I'm just trying. Wait, no, I did. So the second property, we bought it off-market through a. He just put an ad on a Vietnamese newspaper and saying like, "Hey, we have this house for sale," and it's a coincidence because when we were looking for our first property, we walked through that house.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and then we know that that's how it was built good, and it's recently remodeled. It's almost 100 years old house, but it's fully remodeled, and we didn't ending up getting that because we didn't agree on the terms, so we just moved on to my first house. But then I think it's feel like destiny, like when I
Came back,
Yeah,
yeah.
it came back, and we talked directly to the seller. They didn't want to go through market or the hassle of going up the market because they have tenants in there already. So we worked out the deal.
Perfect setup for an investment property then.
Yes, yeah. So we worked out the deal, and I think the tenants that I inherit is still living there in
Oh,
that
nice.
property. Yeah.
I'm sure you've increased their rent by now.
Yeah, so it's a lot. I think when I inherit them, their rent is 2,000, and right now it's 2,500.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
And so so you've gotten, how many rentals did you say you know?
It's 4 right now.
And they're all single family?
No, I have a duplex.
Oh, one's a duplex. Okay.
Yeah.
And if you
Single
had
family,
pretty,
one duplex.
3 single family, 1 duplex. Yeah.
and stability wise, have you been able to keep renters in there the whole time? Have you had
Yes.
major vacancies or?
Knock on wood, right? So I still have pretty good, solid tenants right now. One is Section 8, so she's just getting paid through the Home Forward agency.
Yeah, you just get a direct deposit. from the
Yeah,
county,
we
right,
just got
every
direct
month?
deposit.
Yeah.
So, and she's actually taking care of the property pretty good. We do inspection, I think once a year, and yeah, the house is it's been really good condition. And then there's a tenants in my duplex right now. Is we're going to a turnover, the first turnover, and maybe the second turnover that I going through. So everything it's still on process. We're in the process of finding tenants and trying to screen them and stuff like that and talking to them. But so far so good. We got a couple applicants, applications in. Yeah, so.
Are you managing yourself, or do you?
Yeah, so me and my wife, we managed our properties. We trying to hit 10, and then after that, we're trying to move them over to property management company because I feel like at that time, dealing with 9 tenants or 10 tenants will be too much. Yeah.
Yeah. Huh.
I agree.
Nice.
Right?
Yes, it is a lot.
Yeah.
But you haven't had any trouble with any of your tenants so far.
We do have a situation where a couple got separated.
Oh, okay. So they had a hard time paying rent or something like that.
So I think this is kind of like the best scenario that happened to me. I feel like when that happened, they either not paying rent or there was some, conflicts between husband and wife, and they ending up, trashing the place and whatever. But yeah, it's a very peaceful separation. Wife moved out, husband still live in the house. They still fight for custody for kids, but paying on time, there's nothing wrong with that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Do you have a specific goal for your investment, like where you want to end up?
Yeah, so I feel like at first we starting out trying to be positive $500 per door.
Per door.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and then we're trying to
Have you been able to hit that all of them?
all of them.
Oh wow.
Yeah, all of them. I
Nice.
think thanks to very low interest rate back in
Yeah.
2021. So yeah, all of them has been positive cash flow, and we're trying to bring our passive income up to 10K. I feel like that's enough, more than enough to cover for our expenses, and we don't have to worry about bills anymore. I
Right.
think that's our goal. Yeah.
Enough to get by. Yeah.
Yeah, enough to get by. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So still doing my job and still have passive income on the side. So not feeling pressure while doing work. Yeah.
Do you? I know you said you got one off-market deal,
Mhm.
the rest of it on-market. So what's your strategy? How do you identify what's a good property to buy and gonna get you that cash flow?
Yeah. So I think that's the property that I bought off market, and then we bought another one with Tony, also off market because it's a new build, new construction. It's not even hit the market, but we saw the house next door. It went pending while we walked through it, and then we saw another house down the street, and we just decided, okay, just go with it. And yeah, we got at the listing price. We didn't have to go through bidding war or whatever. So I feel like that house was built. We bought it in 2021, and I used Jordan for that finance. And yeah, I feel like it's a very smooth transaction.
Oh, that one, yeah. That was the. Didn't that have like a tax exemption?
Tax exemption.
Tax abatement.
Yeah, tax abatement. Yeah, yeah. So going back to I'm trying to understand like what's your questions and trying to see how do I answer it correctly.
Yeah, I think. Well, my question was just like, how do you decide a property is going to be, you know, a worthwhile investment?
I see. So right now, most of my properties is in Southeast or on the east side of Portland. When I first moved here, I moved to that area because my family lived there. I consider that area is called an immigrant town because it's have a lot of immigrants and are very robust, I feel like, in terms of rental properties because people, when they move there, first of all, they just wanted to find a house to live and trying to find a good job and kind of like just starting their life here in the U.S. And I was be able to provide that property to them, I feel like. And yeah, so most of my properties are on the east side, and it's been fully rented out. And I'm starting to looking for other places now after I got 4 properties in the east side. And
so kind of more important to you than just the numbers is the area.
I feel like, yes. So, and numbers we do have to run numbers.
Of course, it has to meet some minimum threshold, but you're most concerned about the area because you know it's going to appreciate and rent out while there.
Yeah, so if we put it in the terms, I think that's kind of like a B neighborhood.
Okay.
It's not an A neighborhood for sure. It's not a C. When I'm trying to looking for property, I'm trying to looking for property in a B neighborhood. So it's not like very rundown neighborhood. It's still decent. They still have a very low renter versus homeowners ratio when to go there. You know, have to make sure that they're taking care of their house, the surroundings and stuff like that, and have to be in good school, because I'm trying to put myself in their shoes. Like if they rent my house, like they probably have family, they probably have kids, right? So they probably want to have a safe environment for their kids to go to school. Not too good that it's unaffordable for them to rent the house. So I think East Side is the best area for those type of families. Yeah.
Tell us. I want to switch gears a little bit and go back to your one of your areas of expertise, which is kind of insurance and risk. So what are factors? Well, not maybe factors, I guess. Just give us some general tips for people when they're looking to buy investment property. What advice do you give people about insurance products? Certain riders that they maybe don't consider.
Yeah, I'd love to hear what some of the claims maybe that you see for your clients that are like, oh man, like or something that come up kind of regularly that if they would have done this. Then...
Oh yeah, for sure. Okay, so let's talk about insurance real quick. I feel like insurance to a lot of people, it's just an expense that they need to do, right? So it's
it's always like you're never going to be the insurance companies that just get the cheapest policy possible.
Yeah,
often the mentality, right?
Yeah. So the more I'm in this job, I realize that you need to have a good insurance policy and also good insurance agents, so they can actually explain to you what type of coverage that you need. For my practice, I'm always trying to sit people down, talk to them about the big picture. So, for example, I work with a lot of real estate investors that they have multiple properties. The problem that they have is, just like you said, right? So whatever carriers that is the cheapest, they would just go with them, right? So if they have 10 properties, they would usually have 10 different carriers, right?
Oh.
Yeah, and the problem is, if it's the cheapest, which means most of the time, they have a very low coverage, right? And if they all put that under their personal name, one got sued, they're trying to go after the other 9. And you don't want to put your clients through that, right? So I'm trying to put out like an insurance plan for, especially for real estate investors. As I told them, I'm like, hey, put everything under one roof of company. I don't know whatever agents that you want to work with, but this is my recommendation. Put everything under one roof so they know exactly what type of coverage of each property is, and then they will give an umbrella on top of it. Because if you have 10 different carriers, they don't talk to each other, and you will starting to have gap and exposures that you don't want to. You know, like insurance is something that you want to plan ahead, and then when, you know, disaster happen, you just deal with it instead of disaster happens and then holy smoke, I don't have the coverage for this house, and why do I not, all of that questions. You should have that conversation before it happens, right?
Yeah, I've seen some of those videos of experiences people have had since, fires have been more common recently.
It is.
Talk to us about different insurance levels and being able to get, your home rebuilt to the exact standard that it was versus a substandard based on your policy.
Yeah. Good question. So my recommendation is make sure that you get in touch with your agents, or your agents should be getting in touch with you at least once a year, and then talking about the dwelling replacement cost.
The dwelling replacement cost.
Yeah, and then, so as you know, 20 and 21, we have a huge skyrocket lumber price, right? That leads to cost to replace a house that's also skyrockets, and also labor crisis. So there's so many factors that factors in, right? So that's why
So if you had your 2018 policy,
you
it's
should
based on
review
2018 lumber prices.
Yes.
And
Based on labor back in
so
2018.
your replacement cost then might not be what it needs to be, and if your house burned down, you have that old coverage. You might need to revisit that.
Different company, they have different rate code. So for us, we do have special rate for new build or house that's less than 30 years old. And then if it's more than 30 years old, we have a different rate. So we usually have a 120% cap on it, so which is kind of like an inflation guard. And then if it's a new build, we usually will have an unlimited replacement cost. I think we are one of the rare company that actually offer that.
So new construction, no matter what the cost is,
yes,
if your home burns down the next X number, how many years?
It's until, I think if once you got that, like it's you grandfather in.
Okay, so your home had your home for 30 years.
Yeah.
Burns down completely. You get to rebuild it at the same specs and standards that it was originally built.
Yeah. At that point.
No matter if the labor is triple the cost or whatever.
Yes, that's really rare, and I'm trying to take advantage of that and letting my clients know a lot, because like
I have seen that, because I see the policy sometimes. So I see a cap, and then sometimes I'll see something that says just
sometimes that they have inflation guard, maybe 4%.
Yeah.
We have a rate code that for older generation homes that's more than 30 years, we have 120, so which is 20% more than the replacement cost. So in case of, but if you have just a normal home policy, I think my best recommendation is talk to your agent so they can do a home evaluation again, and then just increase that replacement cost in case something happened. Yeah.
Interesting.
You mentioned you used the word umbrella policy. Can you just tell our listeners what is that for?
Yeah, so umbrella policy is a good type of policy that preventing you from getting to a legality issues if you have, which means you being sued by maybe either tenants or whoever that you're liable for.
So, like, for example, somebody was on your property and they tripped and broke their leg or arm or something like that.
Exactly.
They could sue you for medical
negligence
if their curb, there was a bump in the curb or something like that.
Normally that's beyond what insurance, like, so the normal home policy.
So home policy, usually they have like certain limits. It's either 300,000, 500,000, but umbrella will go all the way to 1 mil, 2 mil, 4 mil. Yeah.
Okay, so if you have that umbrella policy, it'll prevent them from, well, at least make it harder for them to go after all your other assets.
So I put it in the analogy is that you rather want $1 billion company write whoever that you're liable for a check other than your own pocket, so.
You said earlier, like if you had 10 different properties all under 10 different carriers and you had an umbrella policy, that policy may not cover policies that are not with that carrier? Is that
Yes,
right?
exactly. Yeah. So umbrella policies only cover under one roof. So it kind of like umbrella, right? So one umbrella, and then it's have 10 other properties down here. You can extend the liability limits to 1 mil, 2 mil, 4 mil, whatever that you desire, and that's based on the analysis that you do with your insurance agents. So I would highly recommend people, if they own multiple property, have umbrella policy.
That's
I,
good to know.
I can tell you from a mortgage underwriting perspective too, it's much easier when someone has all their property. If you have a lot of properties, if you have one carrier and an umbrella
It's
policy,
so easy to work with
way
too.
easier to underwrite.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Less paperwork, less.
It sounds
Yeah.
a little bit counterintuitive, right? When you invest, you want to spread your eggs out, but in terms of coverage, protection, you have to put all your eggs in your basket. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's kind of a couple schools of thought on that, right? Like
Yeah.
insurance is, we'll say that's a great way to do it. An attorney might be like, oh, set up 12 different LLCs.
Yes, you can do
right?
that too. Yeah.
But in that situation, I think you could still have an umbrella policy.
Yes, that one is going
that would
to.
be the ultimate tier, right? If you did both of
Yeah.
those
So
things.
doing LLC and then have a commercial umbrella.
Mm.
Yeah, because LLC is commercial. So.
Right. Okay, that makes sense.
So we talked about replacement coverage. What are other types of claims that you've seen where it didn't get paid because there wasn't a right, like a certain
Yeah,
right?
so I think there's one thing that I just keep running into, and people are asking me a lot, is wear and tear versus certain change or certain accident. Which one that insurance company will cover? So wear and tear is something like a drip pipe that you don't know. You may have missed it during the inspection, and then when you moved in or you move your tenants in, suddenly that pipe is just keep leaking, and then
And
just
it's rotting.
yeah, it's rotting everything.
Suddenly
and
you're replacing your siding for $40,000.
yes, so we draw the line for that is when we say, okay, so if your flooring was damaged because of that drip pipe, we'll replace the floor, but we're not going to replace the pipe because that's wear and tear and that's your responsibility.
Okay, interesting.
Versus something accidental, like sudden things happen. For example, like you're going through a storm and suddenly they rip off your roof and there's no roof anymore. So that will cover the entire thing because that's act of God.
So
Right.
it'd be better, I'm hearing what you're saying, is that slow drip that was happening is it suddenly burst and became a
Yes, it's become
unexpected
yes,
large,
exactly. So
then it's okay, we can cover it because it was unexpected, but
Mhm. if it's just dripping and you don't really pay attention to it, that's kind of like your fault. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, that's
understood.
just delayed maintenance.
Yeah,
and
exactly,
negligence.
exactly.
So is there an optional rider for wear and tear?
No, there's no
Oh.
optional rider.
Okay.
Yeah.
In our region, there's we have a high probability, I guess I would say, to earthquake. Now,
Yeah.
is earthquake an automatically covered thing when you buy a home in Oregon?
So with earthquake, there's certain insurance company that qualify to offer it in-house. Some of them they have to go through FEMA. With us, we offer it in-house, and it's not automatically.
And by the way, earthquake insurance is not required in our area.
It's not. It's not. Yeah.
It's not one of the required coverages.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's not. It's an optional coverage for sure, but we do offer it in house, and it will give you a peace of mind. In case earthquake. I use this analogy with my clients a lot. If your house just shifted 5 inches on the left, on the right, would you be okay with it, or would you want an insurance company will take care of it? So that's an easy analogy. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've seen earthquake riders be often like pretty high deductible.
It is, yes. So standard is 20% deductible.
Mm,
Yeah.
Which
a lot, right?
Which, yeah, oftentimes if you're doing, you're making a claim for an earthquake, it's going to be hundreds of thousands of dollars, right?
Yeah, yeah. So,
But not necessarily.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have to go through FEMA's about that regulation. So we cannot go lower than. I think there's some carriers that it can go as low as 10%,
Okay.
but not the standard deduction that you see like 1,000 or something.
And are just like retrofitting your home for earthquake, like bolting it to the foundation, does that impact your rider or your
I think
premium
so.
amount?
Yeah. So it's something that's like help to get your house better against earthquake. Yeah. So you got certain discount for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just say insurance is totally worth it, right? It's something you hope you never need, but when the time comes you do need it, you want to make sure you've got the right coverage. We had an investment property we bought. We used, it was a flip, or excuse me, not flip. It was off market through a wholesaler. And as we were going through the construction phase, the previous homeowner did some, unpermitted electrical work themselves, DIY stuff, and it sparked an electrical fire in the attic, basically. And luckily it was a limited fire, but generally the most damage is caused by the emergency services, right? They want to make sure that they really smolder all the fire.
Oh, like the fire department came and sprayed
they
it
come
down
and they
just
spray
ton of water
everything,
damage.
everything. And here's actually something I didn't know, but after the fire department comes, it's the homeowner's responsibility to dry up and mitigate as much as possible, right? Because if you just don't do it, right, and you leave that water sitting there, it's going to create, of course, humidity and mold and other
get
issues.
those big fans in there, right?
And then,
Yeah.
so
Yes.
you got to basically call one of those restoration companies that come out right away.
Mhm.
So it's quite, can you talk about any of those experience and recommendations for investors, homeowners who have these types of events?
Yeah, so definitely, if you're trying to venture yourself with the real estate investing world, I would say finding a good agent to talk and then trying to become. I'm not saying me, but I can help. But insurance agent, especially that, like people that going through the same process, like they also a real estate investor. They know exactly what their client's going through, so they will make sure that they have a good coverage. For example, like a policy for flippers, right? So flippers usually have to vacate the house for a certain period of time, maybe 3 to 6 months. They have material in the house trying to fix it up and stuff like that, and suddenly they got vandalized or they got their stuff stolen. So regular homeowner policy will not cover that event. So a lot of people, they kind of overlook. They can say like, oh, we just buy a regular, it's different type of risk.
Yeah.
So it's all about risk management, right? So when you actually calculate that type of risk, you will pay a little bit more on the premium side, but you have peace of mind, right? So usually with flipper policy, it's gonna be like 2 times more, but you only hold it maybe 3 to 6 months, so it's not gonna I think break the bank for you.
Yeah.
But having a proper insurance for a different type of project that you're doing, if you are doing a BRRRR strategy, so you still have a builder risk policy in place while you are still fixing up the house.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you fix up the house, you invite tenants in, that becoming a landlord or maybe a home protector policy, which means it will only protecting the structure, the house, and not the personal property of the tenants. So they still have it. So yeah, a proper way to do, if you're talking about on the insurance perspective, if you do a BRRRR project, is a builder risk policy while the house is getting remodeled, and then a home protector policy when you have a tenant coming in and they have a tenant policy.
I think that's important, right? Because the average layperson wouldn't know that and just get a normal homeowner's policy while they're
Exactly.
working on it. And
Yeah.
then,
Wait, did you have a flipper policy when that happened?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I've
That's good.
Majority of my properties I buy through and I use private financing, and they require.
Oh, they force you to.
they
Yeah.
for-
Okay. They don't. Okay. That makes sense.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does Country do flipper policies?
We do,
Okay.
yeah.
Good to know. Good to know. Awesome. What else? What else would you think would be important or good lessons? And what you've shared about already, I think, is phenomenal.
What's the most common claim that you deal with?
Believe it or not, it's water damage.
Water damage from a broken pipe, like a frozen
Broken pipes or weather, or windows that water just sips in, like through the sill. I got it a lot. And then we got some. So we have a couple of I have a couple of houses that I insure back in Bend, and we do have some fire claims down there. It was very bad, and I know for a certain carrier that they just stopped doing insurance at that area because
just pulled out of the market.
They just pulled it out. It's too much risk for them.
Yeah.
But we've been in the market for so long, we understand the risk, and as long as we underwrite it correctly, which means we don't have a lot of, like for example, house on the tree is better than the house. The house on the hill is better than the house downhill in terms of a fire. Yeah, so we usually insure houses up the hill. We kind of like a very conservative company, so I kind of like the more I work with country, the more I feel like I found the sweet spot that I can actually, giving solution for people. Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome.
And what's your kind of sort of 5-year goal or your short-term, midterm goals?
So midterm goal is I think I'm trying to venture in doing maybe a midterm rental for my next project.
Okay, instead of a normal lease.
All of my properties right now are just been long-term rental. So I want to try it out and see. We got some experience of doing short-term rental before, but I partner with a business partner, so I'm learning the craft, learning how to talk to guests, learning to do a turnover and stuff like that. But I feel like that's too much work, and maybe we just have to do something midterm so we don't have to spend a lot of time and energy in it. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's our midterm goal.
And what about for the insurance business?
Insurance business is pretty sure is I'm trying to build up a team that they basically will trying to help me to grow that book of business, and I'm trying to specialize in just real estate investing clients.
Okay.
So they may have a lot of needs for the financial side, maybe retirement accounts, college funding for their kids, and then focus more about life insurance and how do you apply life insurance policy to kind of like be your own bank, and then using that money to just funding your next deal and stuff like that. So I'm really passionate about that, and I'm trying to put more focus on that once I build up my team, and yeah.
Okay. And if you were to recommend to somebody that was like just thinking about getting into real estate, what would you suggest that they do to get started?
I feel like I really like a saying. I don't know what this saying is from, but just with real estate, you need to buy and wait instead of wait and buy. Right?
Love it.
Right?
It's never a wrong time to buy, just a wrong time to sell.
Exactly.
Right? You might have to wait.
Yeah, you might have to wait.
Yeah. So I feel like all of our properties right now, it's we got lucky that we got a few properties off market. We don't have to go into bidding wars and stuff like that. We're going through some small projects for our duplex, just to fix it up so it can be rentable. And we're kind of like just slowly learning the craft, kind of like be better at what we do. And also, I still remember when I first got my rental property and I starting to become a landlord. I was so intimidating about that, like how to deal with tenants. Luckily we have a lot of resources in the area, and I learned a lot from Tony as well. That it's just a step by steps, right? So
totally,
yeah, you just need to learn one thing at a time and just be good at it, and I think that's good.
Awesome.
Well, great. Thank you so much for coming on the show. We really appreciate you sharing your time and knowledge with us.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully our listeners picked up a few tips when purchasing properties and where you should be looking at for proper coverage and insurance to really mitigate that risk, right? Because things happen.
Yeah, and if any of our viewers want to contact you, what's the best way to find you?
I'm trying to boost my online presence, so you can just search Khoa Tran at Country Financial.
Okay.
But I'll give the link to my website or my email. If you guys have anything that insurance related, I will be happy to help.
Great.
Awesome.
Well, thank you so much.
Thanks, Khoa.
All right. Thank you.